Hi, it's Steph, and today's little video is all about boxes, or box art. Some people say assemblage art. It does have lots of other names as well. I tend to stick to box art, mainly because, well, in a nutshell, what it is collage, three-dimensional collage, just contained within a box, simple as. Um, and it is an art form that has been around for a good few years now, and it's just something that I've loved for many years. I love everything about it. Interestingly, it's something that I don't do an awful lot of myself, and I really should. Um, I do have a couple of examples that I'll show you towards the end, that are mine, but generally this is something that I need to do more of, so hopefully me posting this video should spur me on to making more box art. Um, and I think the main reason that I wanted to particularly feature the box art, obviously because it is something that I love. The other reason is I am aware that there are lots of people at home that are struggling to find something creative to do right now, and that's why I started doing these videos. This particular art form might lend itself quite nicely to the sort of current crazy little world that we're living in. And as you can see, I have stuck a lot of examples on this board behind me. I did add a few examples up at the start of this video. If I remember, I will add some more at the end. And what I will also do is I will put an awful lot of examples of other people's box art onto my Facebook page. And I've just said other people's box art. I've said that this isn't something that I do an awful lot of myself. So all of these examples behind me, the examples that I showed at the start of this video, all the ones that I'm going to put onto Facebook, most of them will be other artists' work that I have stolen off the internet just to kind of share for inspiration. So hopefully people don't mind if I have stolen your little box art image. It's just nice to see how other people tackle this lovely art form, just because there's so many different ways you can go with it. And if anybody does fancy giving this a go, as always, please share me images of your artwork, especially the box art, because it is something I love and I would love to see what you all do with this. So if you are going to give this a go, there are mainly two things that you need. Number one is a box or container, and usually when I have done classes or art sessions where I've set this as a little challenge, I always talk about how, don't just get yourself an ordinary box, a shoe box or a Tupperware container. It's lovely if you can find a box that has a lot of character. Some of you may have boxes like that in your house. Not everybody will. And because we are living in quite different times at the minute, we can't just nip to the local charity shop or antique shop and rummage around and find something. We're going to have to just use what we've got. Things that work well, and I've got lots of examples. It doesn't have to be a wooden box. Tins work quite nicely. I mean, I love things like this, so I collect things like this, so I do have lots of old tins. Don't worry too much about size either, because if you happen to have a container that is only tiny, it means that you can only fit tiny things in there, and that can be quite a nice little challenge sometimes. And you will find sort of tins and boxes anywhere really. This had makeup in, doesn't now. Nice size. I think that maybe kind of had jewellery in it, probably had a top bit as well, but again, that's quite a nice little size. And what you can do on some of these is if you're wanting to maybe section off the inside of your box, you can do that quite simply just with strips of cardboard. Some of these examples here, I'm not sure if you can see those too well. I think you can. You know, this one here, it's a beautiful little wooden box, and it already has all the little compartments in there. It just breaks the whole box art really nicely, and it gives you some quite nice little shapes to work in. This one here, again, if you can see that, which I think you can, looking at this, I think this is 9 separate little square boxes that somebody has joined together. So you know, you can sort of put boxes within boxes if you want. It just it can break the space up quite nicely. I mean, you don't have to. There's some of these up here which I know are slightly cropped by the camera, but I think all of these at the top, it is just one empty box that people have put things in. You'll notice also that what most of the people have done with these examples is they've not just put three-dimensional objects in a box, they've actually collaged the box first as well, which can be quite a nice thing to do, but it is all going to depend on what you have to put in your little box. So I do have, again, just because I collect things like this, I have a lovely little wooden box which, as you can see, has a nice little compartment either side. You know, this has been crying out for me to do something collagey, and I've not yet, so maybe I will. If you haven't got any interesting boxes like that, you might find that you just have some cardboard boxes. Nowhere near as exciting as the old tins or wooden boxes, but you know, times are strange, so we're going to have to use what we've got. Ideally, if I was going to use this, I would say something like this is probably way too big, and I think if I was to use this, I might cut it down so that it was nowhere near as deep. And with the bits that I'm cutting off, these are quite nice. You could then maybe make little sections in here. And if you didn't like the cardboard aspect of it, again, you could you can decorate these in any way if you want. You can collage them, you can paint them. Choice is yours. So that's kind of task number 1, is to find a box. Task number 2 is to find things to go in the box. And what I'm going to say about this is, when I posted a collage video a couple of weeks ago, I specifically told people not to really have too much of a theme or an initial idea. I was actually getting you to work quite randomly, because it's quite nice to do that sometimes. With these boxes, I'm going to say just the opposite. Past experiences told me that having quite a strong theme works really nicely with these boxes. So when I've done these in the past, people have gone a few ways with this. Some people have gone quite personal, and maybe they've kind of explored their house, and they've tried to find interesting little bits and pieces that will look quite nice in the box. And if you do look at some of the examples that maybe I'm going to add to these videos or add onto my Facebook page, have a really good look at them, because look at the little bits and pieces that people have used to fill their boxes. They're not just kind of grabbing anything. They are quite lovely special bits and bobs that people have used, and sometimes that can take a bit of finding, sometimes it doesn't. So you know, don't be pressured about sort of doing this in 5 minutes. You might do it in 5 minutes, you might not. It might be something that you work on for weeks. But as an example, in my loft, and I've had this for a long time now, in this little box here, these are all little bits and pieces that a good few years ago, when my mother-in-law died, we had that lovely job of, I say lovely job, not so nice job of kind of when somebody dies and you have to go through somebody's belongings and decide what gets thrown away and what gets shared out amongst the family. And a lot of the things here people didn't really want, and I thought, well, I could actually do something quite nice with these. And I've had them for ages and I haven't yet, but there are things in here that obviously they've got huge sentimental value. They're really personal things, and I mean, let's put that down. Just that tin itself is really nice, but you know, open it up and there's, if you can see there's some little foreign light bulbs in there. No idea why my mother-in-law would want those. There's sort of a little Spitfire badge, just because I know my father-in-law used to be in the RAF, so I'm guessing that was his. You know, there's other things in here. There's an old watch, which I'm guessing used to be my father-in-law's. There's old family photographs. There's a map of Sorrento, which I know that they visited there more than once, I think. There's all sorts of lovely, quite personal things in here, which are great for box art. And obviously, they're all linked together because, you know, these all do belong to a specific person, which ties them all together really nicely. I've not just randomly grabbed things. If you do have things like this, maybe, you know, from your grandma or whatever, there will be things in here that you wouldn't necessarily want to stick a big blob of glue on. You don't have to. You can do this box art as a bit of a temporary thing. You know, you could get your box, you could make your little sections in it if you wanted to, and you could simply start to place things in here and just do it as a bit of therapy. It's quite a nice thing to do. So that's one option. You could go quite personal. You know, you could find things about yourself if you wanted to. The other option is yesterday I went out with my dog and I collected things whilst my dog was doing what my dog always does. So I sort of went on a little treasure hunt, and if you do this, boy do I really want you to explore, because most people when they go out they just kind of have blinkers and they just walk from A to B and they don't tend to see things. So, you know, I've found some lovely sort of interesting rocks and stones. I found some quite nice bark off trees as well, which is very nice. We have loads of these near me at the minute, which no idea, I've no clue what they are. The camera's struggling to focus on those. That sort of looked a little bit like a nut of some description. Found it on the floor. I found quite a few dandelions just because I thought they would add quite a nice bit of colour. I can't get those around. A few sort of old crusty leaves. Thankfully I didn't find too much litter, but I did find that. Again, I thought I'd add it for colour. One thing I will say is if you are going on a little bit of an explore when you're out and about, is yeah, just be careful what you do pick up and what you don't pick up, really, especially in this current climate, you know, where we have to be very sort of hygienic, so it might not be brilliant if you are sort of picking up every bit of litter that you see. So I tended to try and stick to sort of nature things. You know, again, lovely sort of little pebbles. I was sort of mainly looking at colour. So you could go on a little bit of an explore. You could do this in your garden if you wanted to. And when you have got all your little bits and pieces, I'll put these down. And we'll just try and arrange them in here. I think much like the collage, it's better if you have too much stuff Just, I think mainly because I don't like that white in that background, I am just going to try and cover it up a little bit. We'll see if things fit, and if they don't, I do love that, but I don't know where it would go. Can we all see this? Probably. That I quite like, so that might go in there somewhere. Oh, we had loads of these as well, whatever they are. Lovely kind of rust coloured. I don't know what they are really. That looks quite nice there. See, I'm going to stick my little shriveled up dandelion in here just because I quite like the colour. That might go down there. Let's see, we're going in there. And see, I did want to put that in, but maybe I might not have enough room to put it in there. I don't know, it might go in the top like so. And I mean, you can glue these down if you wanted to and make it quite permanent, or you could make it quite temporary. So a few examples that I've got. I said that I didn't really do too much of this myself, which I don't. I remember doing one of these about me a good few years ago, but it seems to have gone walkabout somewhere. I don't quite know where it lives anymore. But I also made one about my son when my son was quite little. I remember going in his room, and as like most sort of little kids' rooms, there was things all over the floor, and I just picked up a few little random things, and I thought what I would do is I would make a little box about him. So I did. So here's my little box about my son. So you can see there was lots of sort of little Lego bits and toys, and he is still quite obsessed with little gemstones. This here, obviously there's a photograph of him there, but this was his little baby kind of bracelet thing when he was born. And I collected a lot more than I've put in here, but the box limited what could go in and what didn't. So I quite like the fact that it's got a lid as well. And finally, I mentioned about small. If your box is quite tiny, don't think that you will make a kind of lesser box than somebody who's got a box that's massive. Because I had this sent to me a few years ago. There was a lady that I used to teach, and she wrote to me, and when I opened the letter I could feel something inside the letter which I thought was quite peculiar, and I thought, oh bless, she sent me a beautiful little old tin, you know, because she knows that I love things like this. And then when I opened it up, if I can, yeah, she'd actually collaged inside it as well, and I just thought, wow, that is just so beautiful. So small can be quite nice. So there you go. I'm not going to say anything else. This is probably the shortest video I've ever done. So box art, if you fancy giving it a go, and please subscribe to my little channel if you want to be updated on more videos that I am going to post. I think later in the week I might do a portrait drawing video, and I'll do some other things as well. So there you go. Have fun, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.